I don't trust Kevin Patullo, but I trust Jalen Hurts. I don't trust Kevin Patullo, but I trust Saquon Barkley. I don't trust Kevin Patullo, but I trust AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard. Those are the guys I trust offensively. And defensively, I trust Vic Fangio. I trust Jalen Carter. You know, Nolan Smith, he holds the franchise record for the most sacks in a postseason run with four. He's on his way to becoming the franchise leader in sacks in the postseason, and Cuz is just starting his career. I trust Cooper DeJean. He had a pick six in the Super Bowl on his birthday. I trust Quinyon Mitchell. His first pick came in the playoffs against the Packers. And then he had a pick against Scary Terry and mocked him doing his same celebration. I trust N'Kobe Dean. I trust Zach Bond, all pro guy, a guy that in the Super Bowl, what did he do? He picked off Patrick Mahomes. So there's so many guys. Jordan Davis, he had a sack against the Chiefs, and he showed up in that postseason run and had a couple of sacks and kind of foreshadowed the type of player that he would become this season. So, on all three levels, I trust the Eagles defensively. And of course, Vic Fangio is the best defensive coordinator in the game. I trust those guys. Do I trust Kevin Patullo? I do not. I do believe that there are some plays Patullo is putting in his back pocket and is saying, you know what? I don't have that many creative plays, but I got a couple and I can't show them off too early. So let me keep them in the tuck for when I absolutely need them. I do believe that. I do believe that Jalen Hurts, who, if I look at the stats, is going to run much more in the playoffs because peep this, and this opens up the offense in so many ways for Saquon Barkley, and it makes the defense guess on do I keep a spy on Hurts, but that could leave, the coverage in the secondary vulnerable. I'll give y'all this stat right here. Last season, Jalen Hurts averaged 42 rushing yards a game. He raised it to 48 in the postseason. This season, he's at 26 rushing yards per game in the regular season. Best believe he is going to up it. There is no way that stays in the 20s. I would argue there's no way that stays in the 30s. I really think because of what Frankie Louvu did on the Commanders when the Eagles faced the Commanders and he gave Jalen Hurts a concussion. Remember, last season, there was conversation of, is Hurts going to be healthy? Is he going to be rusty? Because he missed the last two games of the regular season with the concussion. And so it was like, what's going to happen with this offense facing the Packers in the wild card round? And Hurts showed up. The offense, it was a little bit, here and there, but they had AJ reading a book on the sideline, but they still got the job done. So I think because of what Frankie Louvu did by giving Hurts a concussion at the end of last season and could have put in jeopardy Hurts' playoff run status, that changed the way Hurts goes about running in the regular season. Like, if he doesn't have to run to win the games in the regular season, he's not going to. But he knows come postseason time, the only way this offense reaches their apex is by Hurts running the ball. I believe you saw, 26 rushing yards per game in the regular season. That's not a winning formula. I expect Hurts to get to around 42, 45. If he's in the 40s, it's going to open up the run game. It's going to be such a game changer that now the Eagles are more equipped to do what? Run the clock out and be in position to go on a run in the postseason and for their offense to get back on track to what we know it can be. So, do I trust Patullo? I do not. But I trust the players. I trust Vic Fangio. I trust this defense. And I trust Jalen Hurts at the line of scrimmage calling audibles. That's the thing, yo. And I hope whatever conversation Jalen Hurts had with Peyton Manning in the offseason, they either are revisiting it, he's giving Big Bro a call again, but we need those conversations happening again because it might come down to Hurts pulling a Peyton Manning and calling the game from the line of scrimmage. There is nothing that Kevin Patullo has showed me this season that says he is ready for prime time. But I believe in the players so much, it gives me hope that they can turn this around. The last game of the season, Tank Bigsby doesn't get the ball in the fourth quarter. He was going crazy. He had over 100 scrimmage yards. So it goes to show you Hurts was far from the problem. Hurts was the least of the Eagles' problems. And the same issues with the inconsistent play calling, the fact that nobody's wide open out here. Hey, it's not just with Hurts, it's with Tanner McKee as well. And maybe that would open up some Eagles fans or the people in the NFL community that had so much to say about Hurts and the fact that you look at the box score, you look at the second half, and you see 0 passing yards. But if you turn on the film, you see, oh, actually nobody is open. And we know that Patullo isn't good. And this brings me to my second point. Who should be the Eagles' potential offensive coordinator? Cliff Kingsbury from the Commanders. He just parted ways. He just got fired by the Commanders. I am not in favor of Cliff Kingsbury coming to Philly because he, in my estimation, is looking to become a head coach one day. And the Eagles need an OC that can stay here for at least 3-4 years. I ain't saying you gotta be a lifetimer. You gotta be Josh McDaniels damn near. But bruh, can we have you for a year, more than a year? Can we have you for more than a year? More than 2 years? Because that is what this offense is missing. It's consistency at the OC position. That's something that I am looking forward to seeing from this Eagles squad come in the offseason. Who is somebody that is an OC right now that you would say he probably isn't going to be a head coach soon and he's not going to be a major threat to Nick Sirianni? Doug Peterson, I feel like you can't have him. I know I kind of had a curveball. Y'all probably thought I was going to say, bring in Dougie P. I love Dougie P. When I was in high school, he gave me a day off of school, and he had one of the best play calling games I've seen in my life. That Philly special was amazing. The thing with Doug Peterson, though, if you bring him in, there's always going to be rumors of, is he going to come back and be the head coach, right? And that's just a toxic environment. I don't think that is the right move there. So Dougie P, he's out. A guy like Brian Daboll, I would love to have Brian Daboll. But same thing with Cliff Kingsbury. Does Brian Daboll want to go from a head coach to the OC of a former rival? That's a humbling experience. So he might do it for a year, at most 2 years. But you know the Eagles are going to be wildly successful with Brian Daboll. He's going to end up being a head coach very, very soon. If he was given the keys to this Eagles offense, he would go out here, Hurts would have an MVP year, and then he's going to go out here and either coach in college or he'll be a head coach in the NFL. So Brian Daboll, he's not going to stay put. That's another guy I would love. But there is another guy that I would say, let's keep our eyes on and let's see if he could be something. I would go with Byron Leftwich. Now, hear me out. Let me break this down. Byron Leftwich started his coaching career with the Cardinals. He was a coaching intern in 2016. Former player, all of that stuff. He goes from being the quarterback's coach with the Cardinals to them being the interim offensive coordinator in 2018 to then in 2019, he becomes the OC for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, under Byron Leftwich, Jameis Winston had a 5,000-yard passing season. Tom Brady had a 5,000 passing yard season. And when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, it was Byron Leftwich as their OC. So he's a champion. He had championship pedigree. And I don't think that he is a candidate to become a head coach immediately. He could be in the Eagles system. He could develop this offense into what we know it can be with all the talent they got. And all they need is a guy who's experienced, who has been at this high level before. And I would love to see him get an opportunity. I think regardless if the Eagles win the Super Bowl or not, we know Patullo is not the answer. We also know if the Eagles do not win the Super Bowl, it's most likely going to be because boneheaded conservative play calling by Kevin Patullo, led by Nick Sirianni. The thing is, Nick Sirianni, his whole motto is, if we win the turnover battle, we are 42-2. And you cannot scoff at that. But a lot of those wins came with a creative offensive coordinator. You feel me? Like, it's not like that's a situation where you racking up all those wins and you're with a play caller that has the status of Patullo. Nah. You got Shane Steichen. You got Kellen Moore. You got Brian Johnson. And granted, I'd say BJ is the best guy in the world, the best OC. He definitely had his issues. But if the defense ain't fall off a cliff, I mean, Hurts was an MVP candidate after that Bills that Bills overtime game. So I would love to see Byron Leftwich. Let me know in the comments who you believe could be the next OC for the Eagles. And look, if I'm the Eagles, I'm not scared of any of these NFC teams. The Seahawks, the Bears, the Rams. Like, what are we talking about? It's all about us. It's all about what we do. Now, what we know for a fact is that this Eagles defense will show up. What we know for a fact is that since Jalen Hurts' first playoff loss, he has been lights out. You're talking about 19 touchdowns to 1 interception, 2 NFC chips, and a Super Bowl MVP. We know A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are big game players. All of these are facts. We know Saquon Barkley is a big-time player. I mean, hell, he started the game off with a 65-yard run to the crib in the NFC Championship. This guy has one of the most iconic runs in playoff history when he tapped his head twice and sent the Rams packing. So We got the players. We know what they do. They have a proven track record. Patullo, we need you to lock in. Now, maybe I'm chatting, and maybe Patullo has a left hook. He has something up his sleeve. And if he does, I love that. I love that a lot. But we are looking at this, y'all, and we just need decent play calling. Don't do too much. But for the love of God, if y'all saw how Indiana put BTA to Alabama, it's a clear example of why you need to put your foot on the gas even if you are leading in a game. And I mean, the Eagles did that last season. What was the dagger? The Eagles were up 27-0. Sirianni told Kellen Moore to call it. They called the deep shot to Smitty. Under center play action. No, it wasn't under center. I'm sorry. It was play action. The whole defense collapsed to Saquon Barkley. It caught the defense off guard. Deep shot to Devontae Smith against Jalen Watson. What are we talking about? It was either Jalen Watson or Justin Reed. I'm pretty sure it was Jalen Watson, but he just cooked him. But you got to be aggressive. And against these teams like the Rams, you have to be aggressive the whole entire. You cannot have a first half like you had week 3 and then think you're going to go out here in the second half, just throw for 3 touchdowns, 200-something yards, and win the game off a blocked field goal. That's not going to happen again in the playoffs. You will get blown out if that happens again. Now, when I dive more into this game against the 49ers, here is one thing that stands out. The 49ers have 0 pass rush. And obviously, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Mikael Williams, all of them out for the year. The 49ers ranked 29th in pass rush win rate. That's 30%. Ironically, their best pass rusher is a guy who did nothing on the Eagles last season. Bryce Huff was a no-show, Agent Zero. Now with the 49ers, he's having a resurgence, but he's their best edge rusher. Now, here's the thing, too. They rank last in pressure rate, 25%. And so because of this, the 49ers, they have to blitz. Here's the catch. Jalen Hurts has been excellent against the blitz. And it happened because of that Buccaneers playoff game. And in 2023, Hurts was terrible against the blitz. He had a 74 passer rating when he was blitzed. Jason Kelce left. It then required Hurts to call more audibles at the line of scrimmage. He had a 115 passer rating against the blitz in 2024. And 2025, he has a 109 passer rating against the blitz. So he's excellent against the blitz. And if the 49ers can't get pressure with 4, which the stats show they can't, they're one of the worst teams in the league in pressure rate and in sack rate, what's going to happen? Robert Saleh is going to have to blitz. And if you blitz, Hurts, AJ, Devontae, Goddard, they will make you pay. That is what we are looking at. Ask Brian Flores how it felt blitzing Jalen Hurts. Hurts had a perfect passer rating. The only quarterback in the league to do that to a team this season. He had a perfect passer rating, y'all. Come on. So that is something that we did our research. Y'all know I'm going to do my research for y'all. But that's the thing that is the biggest telltale of this. Is like, all right, like, what is this Eagles team going to do when the 49ers give their curveball? The curveball was going to be when and where they blitz. The Eagles have shown the last 2 years with their quarterback at the helm that they are excellent against the blitz. The Eagles rank in the league in rushing yards per game. It's like negative 0.02 EPA per rush. So it's still not good given Saquon Barkley getting paid like this, given you got Jalen Hurts. Talked about Jalen Hurts because he hasn't been running as much as he should in the regular season, but he's saving that for the playoffs. The 49ers are not a efficient offense running the ball. They rank 24th in the NFL in rushing yards per game. So they average 106 rushing yards per game. The Eagles have 116 rushing yards per game. And the 49ers EPA per rush is negative 0.04. So they are worse than the Eagles. So they're going to have to win on 1st and 10. They have not shown to do that with CMC and an average offensive line. What they have to do is avoid 3rd and longs. Well, if you don't have a efficient running attack, how are you going to avoid 3rd and longs? Here's another stat. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL in terms of defending opposing tight ends. Fewest receiving yards allowed to tight ends. The Eagles are top 2. It's the Bills at 504. It's the Eagles at 507. 3rd place is the Raiders at 656. But here's the catch. The Eagles have been targeted 29 more times than the Bills. So they've been targeted 29 more times. You're talking about 105 versus 76. And they give up only 3 more yards, the same amount of touchdowns. And they give up, for the fantasy people, they give up the least amount of fantasy points to tight ends. So we are looking at this. Let's be honest. You got George Kittle, and we know that George Kittle is so great that he'll probably get his in some shape or form. But there is not a team in the NFL that is equipped to defend George Kittle, to defend tight ends, than the Eagles. They got Zach Bond, who is excellent in coverage. You have Nakobe Dean coming back from injury, and he has been excellent in coverage this season. He took a step up. Normally, he's just a run stopper. He has taken that extra leap in this game to be excellent in coverage. And then Jahad Campbell, you saw first game of the season, you would have thought it was a safety out there, and it was Jahad Campbell having a pass breakup against Dak Prescott. And I even mentioned Jeremiah Tryer Jr., who, God forbid somebody gets nicked up for a series or two, you got Trot, and it's not going to be a crazy drop-off. So the Eagles linebacker core is the deepest in the league, and it's going to show against the 49ers when they face up against George Kittle. My last point I want to say in this episode was that Chargers game, and Jake Elliott missed a field goal, and we were like, bruh, the past 2 seasons, you haven't been like that in the regular season, but you've been like that in the postseason. I would much rather have a kicker that's been there and done that, that's been in high leverage spots, and comes up clutch when you need him to. Jake Elliott has been money in the clutch. He's been money in the playoffs. And that's what you need, guys that you can rely on in the biggest moments. So I was frustrated with Jake Elliott, and I still want him to be better in the regular season if the Eagles are going to keep him after this year. But I would much rather have Jake Elliott in clutch time than drafting some rookie kicker and expecting them to go out here, save your season, win you a game, or send the game to overtime. Because we have seen Jake Elliott in high leverage spots not fold. The Ravens kicker, he's a rookie. He folded. That's just what it is. Like, you just folded right there. And we know with Jake Elliott, that's just not his makeup. That's not something that he's going to do. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Real talk. Y'all know I always keep it real. And there's going to be an episode day by day. Stop playing. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We are out.